Summer's over. We got our first show with Dave Scarpa.
Right.
He always starts the season off. I mispronounce his name all the time, but he's our guy. He always starts us off with a strong show, and the show we always like to begin with, of course, is high school football. And let me throw it to you, Coach.
Yeah, a lot of stuff been going on actually. We'll start out, I guess, with Central and Tom's River East had a little altercation at their game. So both of those teams are going to be disqualified from making the playoffs. If you have 3 players disqualified from your team, your team becomes ineligible. So both of those teams, they each had 3 players disqualified in the same game, so they're not going to be able to participate in any playoffs. Another thing that's interesting is Coach Frank Edgerly has returned to the Red Bank Catholic program. He was out. He was actually a scout for the New England Patriots and Cleveland Browns, and he did a little bit of coaching with Cleveland as well. And he replaces Coach Portella at Red Bank Catholic. So that's a biggie. That's a major program with a coaching change. So, we can talk about that. We could talk about our LSN Top 10. And just a reminder that, we do have my blog on the website, From the Sidelines with Coach Scarpa. It's my 6th year now with the blog on the LSN website. If you want to log in and check out what's going on in the shore, you can do that. So.
Well, let's start off with number 1, because I know who everybody's picked number 1 in all the papers.
Okay.
Middletown South, and it's carried over for 2 years now, right?
Yeah, they were undefeated state champion last year in their division. They were also the overall number 1 state champion.
Number 1?
They were number 1 in the whole state. They finished as well. They just beat Red Bank Catholic this past week, 49-14, and that's a good Red Bank Catholic program that they beat. They have now moved into the Class B North, and their out-of-conference games are with Toms River North, state champion, Rumson, state champion, and St. John Vianney, state runner-up. So they have 3 out-of-conference games, all with very good football teams. Like I said, they were 12-0 last year. They won the North 2 Group 4 state sectional title, and they look like they're going to repeat. They look very, very strong already this year. Good wide receiver, Jeremy Joyce, Jeff Landowski, good linebacker in Kevin Higgins, good running back in Mike Imshow, and Samson Doobie. They have 2 pretty good running backs. Now, they lost their starting running back, James McCarthy, out for the season with a knee injury. However, they got a transfer from Red Bank Catholic, just came in 2 weeks before the Red Bank Catholic game, and turned around and scored 2 touchdowns on Red Bank Catholic.
Are you kidding?
Like, you can't make this stuff up.
30 days.
You can't make this stuff up.
Remember that 30-day rule?
Yeah, I guess he
must have lived in
He must
town.
have changed the addresses, and they also got a new quarterback because their quarterback graduated, and Anish Angral, and he was the starter at Homedale last year. So they got 2 new kids that jump in and help them right away.
What do you think about out-of-conference games? Tough games, or should you take cupcakes?
Well, you don't always get a choice on your out-of-conference games. I would prefer to play better teams, get higher points, get my kids toughened up, get them ready for the playoffs. If your program is been sinking, it might be good to get a weaker schedule so you can get a couple W's on the board. But if I'm a good team and I'm heading for the playoffs, I want to play good teams.
All right, who you got in the second hole?
Second hole is pretty easy one to pick. It was Toms River North, who also a returning state champion in the South Jersey. They just beat Southern Regional 41-7, and we'll be covering North next week with Brick Memorial. So tune into that. But Toms River North has had 4 different coaches win state sectional championships over the years. If you remember Bob Nanny,
I know
Bob Fiacco,
sure.
Coach
Yes,
Chip
Fiacco.
Labarca, and now the new one in Dave Oswald. So 4 different coaches have taken that North team to state championship. So there's a lot of talent there, and I always liked Bob Fiacco because he was the first to do it, and he did it in a special kind of way, or a memorable way.
We had him on, remember?
Yeah,
when he had his '89 team, or what year was it? '79.
Yeah,
we had Bob on. Yeah,
he was a great guy. They're led by Mike Husney, a quarterback. He's a 4-year All-Shore kid, and he's back. He'll be starting 4 years at quarterback. So, and they got 2 D1 receivers, and Darian Carrington and Bryce Watts, and they're both kind of leaning towards Rutgers at this point.
They are,
which I like.
I mean, I've seen Carrington in basketball. He's been a 3-year starter.
Yeah, he's an athlete. Yeah, he could play just about
long
anything.
Arms.
Yeah,
about 6'2", 3.
Mm-hmm. So they're both being recruited by Rutgers, from what I understand. And this is a name you'll remember is the youngster running back Darren Blackwell.
Oh yeah,
that
sure.
name's familiar, right?
Sure, the Blackwells, positively.
Basketball players,
right? That's his son.
His son is playing running back and a linebacker. They got Parker Day back. He's a running back. He went to Manasquan to play at Manasquan and transferred back this year. So he's a good addition to that team. And Pete Lingwanga is a good linebacker as well. So they're the reigning Group 4 champions. And I think the Husney kids is trying to be the first player in the Shore to throw for 1,000 yards and run for 1,000 yards. So that's something.
He runs every game. I say he had 135 the other day.
Yeah,
and he had 5 touchdowns. So he likes to run a lot.
Yeah, I think he's got a good shot at that. So he's the North. So Tom's River North is number 2.
And the 3-hole?
3-hole is kind of getting, we're starting to get more Mortals type teams, Manalapan, we got in the 3-hole. They defeated Marlboro 49-12, 6-5 last year. But if you think about the program, and it's been a very, very strong program. I think they had a down year last year. They won the Shore 7-on-7. We got to see that at the All-Star game. So they were, they do have a really good passing game. They have some serious talent. And Cody Widener, he's the kicker, punter, and safety. So he's a good one. Chris Masamic, fullback. Nahum Mayfield, running back. Luke Corcone, quarterback. And LeJean Holder is the wide receiver. And this name you might remember, another wide receiver, Samir Blacknall. You remember his older brother,
right?
Division I football player. So they have some serious talent. Chris Masemic had 10 touchdowns last year. So they returned some kids, and they got a real good O-line, good passing game. That could take them far.
Okay, so we have them in the 3-hole.
Correct.
All right, let's look at the 4.
4 is Rumson. You can't leave Rumson out of at least the top 5. They have 3 state championships in a row. 2 in Group 2 and last one in Group 3. So they're going for their 4th straight title. They have a change in coaches. Jerry Schulte takes over for Brian Batchelor as the head coach this year. We saw them play last week. They looked really good in a 41-0 romp over Raritan. And Raritan is a returning sectional champ. So they played a good team from last year and beat them soundly. So they're very good. Mike O'Connor leads. He's a Colgate-bound kid. A quarterback, Mike Ruane, as a linebacker. And we can't leave out Matt Vicarelli, who just runs like a deer, and then has an overdrive and that afterburners that you don't see too often. So he's a real good one. They lost one of their main players in Elijah McAllister. He's out for the season. But they have a lot of players, and they jump right in. Another knee injury.
Knee injury?
Yeah. So Rumson looks really good, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them go for their 4th state championship. They have a tough game with Middletown South, so that should be an interesting game as well.
According to your theory, you like to play tough teams to get you tougher, get you ready.
Yeah, they certainly have a bunch of them. They have to. Middletown South plays Rumson, and then they play St. John Vianney. We have on our list, and they play Toms River North. So it'd be number 1 versus number 2 at some point.
That's good.
And we're
stuff.
hoping to be there for
Well,
it.
I heard the North game the other day was jam packed. All my people that Toms River, they told me that the stands were packed.
Yeah, well, people like to see a winning team, especially since the other 2 teams in Toms River are not really doing that great right now. South, I think, will rebound. East has a long road, but yeah, everybody.
Take time, right?
Yeah, it takes time, and so people come to the North game and figuring they get to watch them, win. They're a solid program. They came from weren't doing so well the first couple of years, and now they got a lot of talent.
Okay, who's in the 5-hole?
5-hole is your old stomping grounds in Jackson Memorial.
Oh, Memorial.
Yeah, they're back in the thick of it. Of course, they played their crosstown rivals.
They played Liberty. They beat
Correct.
them pretty good.
50-6. Yeah.
Wow.
So they're back-to-back Group 4 champions as well, and they're going after their 3rd straight. So they're pretty good.
They always have a good eye back. Who do they got?
They have a good
eye
one.
back?
They have a good one. Yeah, he's Mike Golick is back. He's a 2-time All-Shore running back. He's got, to start the season, he had 2,700 yards rushing with 38 touchdowns.
Wow.
Before the season started. He's probably more than likely going to be the kid from Jackson that leads all the other Jackson running backs in yardage and touchdowns if he stays healthy.
I know they run out of the eye, and that featured back gets a lot of reps.
Yeah, so they look good. They got a good fullback too to block for him, and Justin Martin Cullett, and a good quarterback in Dan Barker. So they'll be okay. They're number 5, and of course they're in that tough A South with some other tough teams. But I think it'll be an interesting game when they play against Toms River North. So there's some teams that are going to battle it out. It's going to be some battles of the Titans going on this
like
season.
Hey, we got a Dino here, Battle of the Titans. You know what I mean?
Battle of the Titans.
He always has some kind of I don't know what he does in football. He always has like a money in the bank and all that.
Oh yeah, the cliches. Yeah.
He's the cliche man. and Glenn's the data man. We have a thing here.
You got both sides of the coin.
Yeah. So who you got next, bro?
St. John Vianney comes in at
they had a big year last year.
Yeah, they were 11-0, 11-1.
But they lost the states.
Yes.
Somebody big beat them. Who was it?
St. John Vianney.
Was it Del Barton or somebody like that?
Somebody big, yeah.
Yeah, Del Barton. One of them big. Yeah, them guys.
DePaul, maybe. Yeah, because they only lost the one game. They were 11-1, so they only lost the one game. So that's head coach Darren Siniski. He brought in the old Colts Neck coach who just it was a change of coaching at Colts Neck, and they brought in Greg LaCava to do the offense there. He was the old Homedale head coach. So they got a pretty good staff. They lost a lot of guys, and now they're starting to put together a pretty good staff once again. They have my hero on their team, and that's Micah Clark. He's my hero. And I'll tell you why he's my hero. He's an offensive lineman, defensive lineman, says very few words, but plays hard and encourages other players as well. And he's also a big fan of Rutgers, and he's encouraging other players to go to Rutgers. So I find that to be a kid that
good for our state.
He's good for New Jersey, and he's like the mouthpiece for the Shore to represent Rutgers.
You would get Carrington, you get those kids with
Clark,
so you need
two kids from North, right?
Yeah, because that Big 10, Big 12. Whew,
yeah. And now on the same team is another lineman, Jamal Beatty, who's also looking to go to Rutgers.
Wow.
So.
Good.
Running back Chris Chewenick, Villanova, and they have a transfer from Edison at quarterback, Hazik Daniels, who's playing pretty well. So St. John Vianney, they beat Mattawan last week 31-0.
I know.
So that's a good
they're
win.
Still back on that roll of the kids that they recruited.
Right.
Not last year, the year before with that coach. Remember? And then,
Yes.
They had a little scuffle there, and then this new fellow took over.
Yes. Yeah. So, but it's been working out. I think Sininsky's doing a good job. You know, he fell into having a lot of talent, but he's done a good job of keeping those kids in the program and adding kids to the program. So he's doing a good job, and they got a long way to go, and they got that tough division. They get in the playoffs, and it's tough, in those Catholic schools.
Oh yeah, I got you. Who you got next?
So those are the main guys. Those top six look like they're not
looking pretty good.
Yeah, they're not like they're up there. And then you get the last four guys that have they can change for them. They've been changing, and will continue to change probably week to week. But number 7 is Middletown North. Believe it or not,
they've finally come around.
Yeah.
I think in the last 2 or 3 years they've made a movement.
Yeah, they're a team on the rise. They were 7-4 last year, and we're in the playoffs. Their biggest problem is they're in the same division as crosstown rival Middletown South.
I don't think they've beaten them in a long time, have they?
No, I don't think so. So that's their biggest problem. They defeated Neptune 34-7 last week. So they're pretty good. Donald Glenn is their quarterback. He's a 4-year starter, threw for about 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns last year, and a good wide receiver in Brandon Kuby, who led the Shore in receptions with 63 for over 1,000 yards in receptions. He's a first-team All-Shore kid too. Mm-hmm. So they have something to build on. They got good pass combination, and they got tough kids. Middletown North has always had tough kids. Even if you beat them, you suffered for it. They were a physical football team.
They made you pay.
Yeah, they definitely.
That's like Jackson. Jackson, win or lose, when I was out there, they were tough.
Yeah, you knew you were in for a game. So that's where we stand through 7. 8 would be Brick.
Now Brick Memorial.
Correct.
By what, a touchdown?
2 touchdowns. 28-14 was the final there. But Brick Memorial's no slouch. They're going to be pretty good. They kind of gave up on that flex bone this year, which I've been not really a big fan of anyway. And they're going more to running the option out of like pistol formation instead of with the quarterback under center. So that's a big change for them. So we'll see how that works out. We're actually going to see them play next week.
Now that first offense you talked about, was that Walt's main offense? Because Walt came over from East, I know.
Yeah, well.
Was that like his?
He actually didn't run. He never really got to coach at East. He was going to coach there, but he took the job at Point Borough.
And was the offensive coordinator there?
He was the head coach there, and he installed the flex bone there, which he learned actually from working at South with Signorino and his son, who instituted the flex bone in Toms River, and he was on their staff.
Okay.
So he learned the flex bone from them.
Okay, so Walt
put it in
been
himself.
Through all the Toms River schools.
Correct.
And he takes it to Brick.
Correct. So he took it to Brick Memorial, and now they're starting to expand it a little bit into more of a shotgun and pistol option. So we just see more.
What do you like about Brick though? Brick, the old Brick, the Wolf Brick.
Right. This is an old Brick.
Solid?
They're solid. They were pretty good last year. They were 8-2 last year, and they got a lot of returners. So that's why I kind of like them. Running back Jay Obeneyer. They have a really, really good receiver in Jazir Taylor. He's going to probably go to Temple. He looks really good. He scored a couple touchdowns, I think, last week. Wide receiver John Prado. Anthony Costanza is the quarterback, and good tight end and linebacker and Dean Helstowski. And they're physical. They have a lot of linemen that like to take it to you. So they're another team that you're gonna be in for a game if you play them.
They got any of the old Wolf people with them?
No, they actually I think there's one guy on the staff that's an old and the one kid you probably know, the kicking coach Weibolt. He's been there for about 300 years. So, but he's a great guy. I coached with him before.
Warren used to have 19 assistants.
Yeah, from the 60s. I think he actually
12 were volunteers.
Yeah, I think back in the 60s, I think he actually was the kicker for Brick. So, and just kind of stayed on. But he's a great guy. And then there's another guy too. I can't remember his name. That's from the old era. Yeah. It's kind of funny. We were watching Southern Regional play a couple of weeks ago, and they were running the old, wing tee. And I'm sitting next to one of the old players from Brick, who was the running back years ago, that was running, the running back running the wing tee for Warren. So it was we had some fun watching it, because Southern Regional still runs the same offense.
Their coach has been around a long time.
Yeah, he's got a gray or two. So we should. All right, Wall is next. Ocean looked really, really good, and then Wall had to play Ocean. So we're all thinking that Ocean's going to win. Well, Wall took it to him 35-14, beat a good, solid Ocean team. So we popped them up into the top 10. They got a good quarterback in Gene Scott, and a couple good receivers in Jazanik and Coven. Couple real good wide receivers, tight ends.
Well, when Barnes was there, he had good teams. Barnes came over from Jackson.
Yes,
right. He went to Wall.
I remember that.
I think Barnes now might be the principal there.
Yeah, I think he gave up the job. Corcione and Chip LaBarca Jr. are there now. Corcione.
Chippy's there?
Yeah.
He goes all over. He went to Brick, and now he's out. When that offense.
Right. Well, when the head coach lost his job at Brick, he was looking for a job as well, because he was on the staff of the old coach. So Corcione, who was the head coach in Wall, was the defensive coordinator with him when he was the head coach at North. So they're working together, which is nice.
Oh, good.
So and Chip does a great job with the offense.
He has a good mind.
Yeah, he sure does.
His father. I remember when his father came down here, people said, "Who is this guy?" I remember the years because I knew him from up north. His dad had a grocery store up in a candy store up in Newark. And,
right.
the LaBarcas were all up there, and nobody knew who he was, and he takes over south.
When he first came down,
everybody. Yeah,
he came down to Tom's River South, and where'd this guy come from? But he was actually the head coach in Keansburg before he came to.
Was he?
Before he came to South.
I know that, but he opened it up. Like down here was 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah,
I remember watching it.
Yeah, he was shifting people all over. Yeah. Nobody ever saw that stuff before. Right.
Yeah, I mean, he was a real chess player.
Oh, yeah. He knew how to run an offense. And then number 10 is last but not least is Matter Day. And we talked a little bit about that.
Oh, you talked about that. We got the modern day movement like they did in basketball.
Yeah, there's definitely. Well, I'll tell you what that's all about. They're bringing in some people. They defeated Keansburg 35-0. New head coach Dino Mangerio played at Rutgers and spent 6 seasons in the NFL. So he comes in from Poly Prep County Day School in Brooklyn. So he comes in from Brooklyn. He was the head coach there. He brought in the starting quarterback from Matawan, who was, this name might be familiar, is George Pearson.
Pearson.
Does the name Pearson ring a bell?
Yeah, sure.
So, he's a nephew. Yeah, he's a good one. He's starting quarterback. He left Matawan to take the starting quarterback job at Matter Day. 3 players came in from Brooklyn.
Did they?
To play for the same coach. So there was a total of 8 transfers into Matter Day before the season. So they're loaded for bear. They're ready to go. And I think in their division, that they could beat everybody in their division.
And then move on.
Yeah, Asbury looks good. So maybe Asbury
had a big upset, right?
Asbury had a big upset over Shore. Yeah.
And how do you Point Pleasant Borough won? That's where my daughter
Point Borough won. We're not giving them
credit yet.
Top 10 yet, but there's a possibility. I mean, they won.
That town's amazing though. Beach, And Borough, as little as they are, they seem to always have athletes. They amaze me.
Yeah, they do. They do a great job there, and they have for a long time. So, and they got the two schools, because Point Beach they can't play at, so the Point Beach kids can play at Borough because they don't have a football team. So, so they kind of combine there. So they got a good receiver, Matter Day, and Ed Lewis, Marvin Pierce, and a running back in Sincere Sanders. So that's about it for the top 10. I mean, there's been a lot of coaching changes as well. If you want to round that out, or you want to talk
here's
about
the
something?
deal. You once again, you do a great job. We're down to 2 minutes. This went so fast, but you're looking at Middletown South going through. Give me the teams you think are going to go and maybe possibly win state championships.
Probably the first group that we talked about in Middletown South. Toms River North has a real good shot. Rumson has a real good shot.
Mater Dei
can get to the playoffs, but can they win once they get there against some of these seasoned, Catholic schools? It's pretty tough order. I think they're going to be they'll definitely, in my mind, be a playoff team. Jackson maybe. Yeah, those guys
two in
are.
a row, you said.
Those guys
let me ask you this: do you ever see high school state tournaments in Jersey expand beyond that division, South, North? Do you ever see a next step?
They keep talking about it, and this year, last year was, I thought, the closest that they actually got to doing it. I thought we were going to have it, but as usual, they get right to that point and fizzle out because there's still some ADs that are afraid of change. Some of them have it so nice and easy what they're doing, and they don't want to change. A lot of those ADs are comfortable, and they get to pick what's out of conference games they play, and some don't. So it's politics as usual.
Well, Dave, I want to thank you once again for a great job, and usually you hit about 8 out of 10 right during the season, which is 80%. We'll take it, and some years even more. But I think that everybody's going to take Middletown South this year.
Yeah, they're pretty darn good. Can't wait to see them play against Toms River North.
All right, kids, just don't go watch a game in the stands or go watch it on television. Get out and participate. Stay off that alcohol and drugs.